All right, welcome back. So, this is going to be episode 2 of our Dark Souls Remastered playthrough. So now we are going to go through and finish up the Undead Burg slash Undead Parish section. So let's go ahead and do that. So usually the way you would progress through here is coming underneath this bridge, and I'll just show you really quick. You can see the red wyvern, or the Hellkite Drake that almost burnt us the towards the end of last episode. This guy can be a bit annoying, but if you can get him to kind of like this unperch from that ledge like that, you can do this. All right, and then what you can do is try to lure the rats one at a time, because what these guys can do, as you can see, is poison you. That's what that little status is. Yep, there we go. So that proc the poison there. At our level, that's pretty detrimental to our way of life. So I'm going to show you another way to get around this little bit of the map. And that will net you another bonfire, which I think is more useful anyway than trying to deal with those rats right now. I don't think there are any items down there, so it's perfectly fine. If you end up like me, just go ahead and sit down at your bonfire to reset, and then we're gonna do this another way. So what we're gonna do is go to the top of the bridge where the Hellkite Drake was, or currently still is. You can hear it. And what we're gonna do, just follow this. All right, now that everything is burned, we are just going to stand here. And what we're waiting for is we're going to wait for the Hellkite Drake to jump onto the bridge, and we're going to run. You can see the bonfire right there. Another thing you can do, which I'm not going to just because I don't need the weapon, is there is... if you were to shoot or cut off the Hellkite Drake's tail, he drops the Drake Sword, I believe it's called, or something along those lines. We're just gonna kill these guys for a few extra souls, which is a really good sword for the early game. Personally, I'm not going to take it, but you definitely can. And we're just gonna pull this lever. And I'm gonna go ahead and just kill these guys to get these items, so you can see what they are, and you can decide in your own playthrough if you want them or not. Do be careful, like if you walk too far out, you'll trigger the Hellkite Drake to come back. I don't know quite where the trigger is, but it's like right around where those hollows are standing. Alright. Now, this area, so at the top of this tower is another Black Knight, so I'm not going up there. But this is where, if you dealt with the rats, you would pop up here, and then you'd be met with a closed gate, which is why I prefer to just come up instead of dealing with the rats. Now, these shield guys, I think, are easier to deal with when it's the sword variant than the spear variant. That's just me personally. Now what we're gonna do is come up here. Now we could stop the hollow that's running right now to close the gate, but I don't personally see it as like necessary, I guess. Just try not to get killed here as I go for my sip. Go ahead and take these guys out. We're going to do something with these alluring skulls here in a minute, but not until we finish dealing with these guys. Now, the reason I think these guys are easier is because they more readily drop their shields, in case that wasn't clear. These guys pretty much just like to hide behind their shields. But that doesn't make them easy to backstab like this. Just a bit harder to do when it's like multiple, so... And got a Titanite shard there, which we're going to use to level up. Now, what you can do here with this boar is something pretty interesting. You can take these alluring skulls, and what you can do is like, oops, missed through that. You can throw them like right at this fire, and the boar will run into that, which will help you get a good amount of damage on it. Speaking of, I don't know for sure, and I can check right now, probably, let me see. If this thing just has an overall weakness to fire, or if it's just that. So let's check. Let's see what happens if we throw a firebomb at it. Yeah, it's not that great. So we are going to, since I'll pretty much never use these alluring skull items ever again, I'm just gonna go ahead and exhaust the rest. Oops. There we go. Another thing you can do that I just recently discovered actually is you can attack the boar, which may be the more intended use of the skulls now that I think about it than trying to get it to off itself in the fire, but that's neither here nor there. All right, now we're heading down here since we didn't get the gate, and these guys, these undead, uncharacteristically have somehow organized an ambush for us. I don't think there's one over here. It's just that one. Yeah. I really just want you to run in and, you know, get overwhelmed, which we're going to try to avoid to do here. Oop. There we go. We're going to go ahead and just finish clearing out this room. Oh, yeah. I don't know why. Every time I play this game, I think there's one to the left when I know there isn't. That was an interesting death sound. I thought I got killed for a second there. Alright. Finish these guys off. I'm gonna break this table. This body has a key that we're gonna be using. Now for this game, I'm pretty much going to be remaining in my undead form for the vast majority of it. There really is no tangible benefit to being alive, or yeah, to being alive in Dark Souls 1. Honestly, it's more of a detriment than anything, because it opens you up to invasions. That being said, I'm offline, so I don't have to worry about player invasions, but in Dark Souls 1, if you are undead, then you can't even be invaded by NPCs, which is not the same for Dark Souls 2, where I don't believe being undead will stop NPC invasions from happening. I don't believe. I could be wrong. Now, if you go to the right here, there's a Balder Knight over there. In my practice run, I definitely threw myself at him until I killed him, but I know now that I don't really have the stats to deal with him, so we are going to not waste any time on this playthrough and just keep on keeping on. Now here, we're gonna, there we go. Now here we will have no choice but to fight a Lordran Knight, but I think the ones with the tower, or they're not tower shields, they're, I guess just the more standard shields are less difficult to deal with than the ones with the bucklers, because these ones can't try to parry you. Oops. It's not being spatially aware. Also, I just don't think these guys have as much health as their buckler variants. Right. Now we're just gonna wait for this one. This is another spear dude, which means he definitely has the advantage in the hallway. But now that he's out here, we have a bit, well, I say a bit of a better chance, but I got hit by all three of those attacks where none of them should have landed, but that's fine. So now we are pretty much free to just kind of open this gate. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that we can open this gate, and I'm going to go back and rest at our bonfire because I don't have any Estus left after that piss poor performance. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and open this up. We're going to pick up this item because we're going to be needing this key later to get to the next couple of areas. And I think this is a halberd. Yeah. All right. So we're going to go ahead and head back to the bonfire really quick just to replenish our Estus number. But this is not going to be a bonfire that we kindle. I kindle very few bonfires in Dark Souls 1. It's actually pretty rare that I kindle any of them, and if I do, it is even rarer still that I kindle any of them past the first kindling. That's not like a brag or anything, it's just, I don't know. I just don't like using my humanity that way, I guess. The boar does not respawn, so you don't need to worry about that. Dropped an item. Nice. More Titanite shards. More Titanite shards we pick up off of enemies, the less we have to buy with our souls. So because obviously that's RNG based, you will not have the exact same, you know, drops as me. You could have fewer, you could have more. Really just depends. All right. Okay, so you saw there that subtle animation difference. It had like a black tinge to it when I got my souls. So that is indicative of the fact that you just picked up a soft humanity off of an enemy. And you can see that the number in that little corner up there went from 1 to 2. So now I have 2 humanities. So the next bonfire that I get to that I want to kindle, I could become human and kindle it without having to use any of my actual humanity items, which is good. Next thing is we're going to go and deal with, one moment, and we're back. I'm going to go and deal with these guys here in this courtyard. And then, after we do that, we can meet the best blacksmith in the entire Souls franchise. There we go. Alright, pick up this. And actually, now that we're getting like duplicate items, this would be a perfect time to show you what the bottomless box is for, or what I use it for anyway. So we're gonna go ahead, you can already hear him hammering away. So I'm going to go ahead and light this bonfire. I'm gonna sit at it firstly. Do I want to kindle this bonfire? I typically don't, but I'll be in a couple of situations coming up where I'd be in a very real I'd be at a very real risk of losing them, so may as well use them productively rather than potentially dying and losing them. Alright, so we can level up 3 times, which I'm definitely gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, finish off the attunement. And now that that's all in place, we're gonna start working on getting our dexterity up. Now, I could have used those souls to buy some items from this man here. His name is Andre. However, I think I will use the boss souls to accomplish that.
Well, you must be a new arrival. I'm Andre of A.W.R. If you require smithing, then speak to me.
So this is, yeah, as he just said, this is Andre. What I'm gonna do is I am going to upgrade my weapon just a little bit. Also, it does pay to talk to NPCs in Souls games, so definitely do that.
Most weapons and armor are mighty sturdy indeed, but every hunk of metal has its breaking point. If you notice durability running low, it's time to repair. You can ask a blacksmith like myself, or do it on your own with a grindstone. The nice thing about weapons, they never betray you, so pay them a little respect, eh?
Alright, so I believe I can also buy the, yeah, I can buy like the repair box, the armor smith box. So I can buy what I could have bought from that merchant from Andre. And that's going to cost me a grand total of 6,000 souls. Also keep an eye on this item. We will be needing it later, but we won't be needing it at this very moment. Which is going to cost us 20,000 souls. Technically we won't need it. It's not a mandatory item, but I'd say it's better to have than not to have. So the next thing we're going to do is start making our way towards the first boss. So this is the church that they mentioned last episode, and you can actually see the little bell tower. So this will be the first bell of awakening. And you can see immediately how my upgrade and my extra dexterity has already benefited me. Backstabs, which were formerly not a one-shot, now are. Now these guys are best fought with a little bit of extra room. So we'll see how I fare against him. I don't usually get killed by him, but it could happen. So here we go. Best thing you could do is just kind of circle to his right. Stick to his shield arm, that is. You want to watch out for that horizontal, because sometimes it can lead to a second sweep. And yeah, as you saw just there, once he gets to about half health, he tries to go for a heal with the Estus. Alright, so that was a Firekeeper soul. I'm going to show you exactly what we can do with those. I'm going to actually, before I do this, I'm going to go deal with that Balder Knight I told you about. Actually, I know I'm... First, I'm going to go get that second weapon upgrade from Andre. Then I'm going to go deal with the Balder Knight. The thing about Andre is, at least for the first like +5 upgrades, he will upgrade your weapon purely with regular Titanite. I don't think you need large Titanite at all before you get past +6. Yes, and actually I probably won't have the souls to both buy this and get the upgrade, but you can also reinforce your armor as well, which is really cool. Yeah. I don't have the souls to support getting both of that. What I could do is use one of my soul items, which I can show you how to do right now, actually. So you do this, you just go to your menu, bada bing, bada boom, and now I suddenly do have enough souls to reinforce this weapon again. There. So now I need another 2 Titanite shards if I wanted to upgrade. So what we're going to do is head off to deal with that Balder Knight. Now I think I'm a bit further ahead with my stats than I was on my practice playthrough. And I'm not entirely sure why that is. I haven't killed anything extra, I don't think. That's fine. I'll never complain about being a slightly higher level. Oh, it's because, right, I've been using more souls to level up than buy items. That's why. That's fine. It'll all balance out in the end. All right. So you can definitely see the difference that better quality items will get you. Sometimes we have to be careful at that ledge because we can, yep, aggro that Balder Knight. And if I get some space, I'll be able to show you how these ones behave a bit differently than the other variety. So for starters, you can obviously see he has a buckler instead of a, well, he just killed me, so he has a buckler instead of a regular shield. And you also saw that little stance he was doing just then. I honestly should have just retreated when I didn't have the advantage of him not knowing I was there. I don't really like fighting in tight hallways, but that's fine. What was I saying? Oh yeah, right. So when certain enemies, it's really only two that I can really think of. It's this guy and the little thief enemies in an upcoming area have the ability to parry you. Which at this level is pretty much a guaranteed kill. So don't let that happen. So essentially, if you see them winding that up, then your best option is to just not allow, or to kind of stop attacking until they stop standing in that stance. All right, so this time what we're going to do is we're not going to get like super close to that ledge so he can't see us coming. That is what aggroed him, by the way, in case you are curious. All right. Now, this time we should have the benefit of surprise on our side when we go to fight him. I was definitely startled when he just appeared. I wasn't entirely sure if we had aggroed him, but I was like 90% sure that we had. But that's fine. And yeah, this guy definitely on my practice run with basically identical stats, except my dexterity was a bit lower. Ended my life quite a few times. This time I've hit a fair bit harder, so not really a concern of mine. So yeah, that's how that encounter would have ended. But he got the better of us, but that's fine. Not everything is going to go smoothly. Sometimes you just gotta live with that. So what we're gonna do now is gonna be a bit tougher, because we are going to head upstairs and we're gonna have to kill that guy. He doesn't respawn, thankfully, but he is fairly tough. Here goes another Balder Knight with the buckler, but I find this one to be a lot less challenging just because of the difference in height makes his rapier harder to hit us. Now, one thing you can do is, if you don't want to aggro this entire room, you can stand about here, anything to get his aggro, and then just kind of run away. Because what he'll try to do is get to a place where he can hit you. And sometimes he gets caught in this loop where he will only do that. And this is what I didn't want to happen, but this is fine as well, because we want to get them to the point where we are basically bottlenecking them. I don't know how I missed him. Now, this guy, he did that little dance that essentially is buffing them and making them hit harder. You do not want to get swarmed by these guys. Now, in my practice run, I actually wasn't strong enough to one-shot them, so I'm kind of thankful for the fact that I'm progressing slightly differently. Alright, now as you can see, they don't have the little aura around them anymore. And that's basically our indicator that the buff is not applying to them anymore, which is exactly what we want. Alright, now we can deal with him. And be not mistaken by the fact that he's a caster, he does hit fairly hard. But luckily we hit harder, so... Now, I do have a clear shot to the boss right now. I could just go and fight the boss, but that's not what I'm going to do. Like I said, if I do have summons available to me, I will use them. And this is one of those cases where actually we have 2 summons we can use. Or we will. One of them is already set up, but I need to kill this guy to get the other. And that's what we're going to do. Definitely a lot less challenging when I properly level up my gear and stats. So I will say that I'm very grateful for the fact that I am not struggling nearly as much in this beginning area as I otherwise would have. Back here, there's an item that you can get. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it's a humanity. Okay. Which is good. We want humanities. We want lots of humanity. All right.
Oh, still human, are you? Then I am in luck. Could you help me? As you can see, I am stuck without recourse.
So this is what that mystery key that we picked up is for.
Thank you. Yes, sincerely. I am Knight Lordran of Karim. I truly appreciate this. And I guarantee a reward. Only later.
All right. And so with him, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to Firelink. And you might be wondering how we're going to get back to Firelink. And that is because Dark Souls 1 makes ample use of shortcuts, which essentially just lets us get to places quicker than we did the first time. So as you can see, this is that elevator that they mentioned was not operational, and now we can put it back into service. Just like that. Now, an interesting thing in case you never noticed or if you've never played this game before, the bird that brought us here from the Undead Asylum, we can see it. It's right there. It's kind of a bad angle, but there it is. It's always here. Alright, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna rest at this bonfire. I'm gonna level up a little bit. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come down here and talk to this guy.
Hello there. I have your reward. Please accept it. I am grateful to you for freeing me. Not enough for you? Well, let's not be greedy now.
All right, and that's Lordran. So, here's what we can do with the Firekeeper Soul. It's going to be one of the few items that I don't have at the end of the strip or at the end of the video to read, so I'll read it here. Soul of a long lost Firekeeper, Each firekeeper is a corporeal manifestation of her bonfire, and a draw for the humanity which is offered to her. Her soul is gnawed by infinite humanity, and can boost the power of precious Estus flasks. It can be used to gain humanity and restore HP at the cost of losing the firekeeper's soul to reinforce the Estus flasks. Now, as it said, you can use the souls to restore your health and get humanity. I think they have 10 each. I could be wrong. I've never actually used one. But the more beneficial use in my mind is to reinforce your Estus flask. Now what does reinforcing do? Now you can look at the bottom left corner. You can see my Estus flask went from just saying Estus flask to now it's +1, which means that it will heal more per drink, which is definitely a good thing. So now we are going to head back. Before we do that, we're going to use a humanity. And we're going to reverse our hollowing, which I didn't really explain when I did it the first time. So essentially, restoring your humanity just makes you human again. So you can see the character you actually designed and not a piece of beef jerky. And kindling is when you essentially make your bonfire stronger so you can have more Estus flasks. You can see the Firelink Shrine automatically is kindled and has 10 flasks. And now the bonfire over by Andre has 10 flasks as well if I were to sit there. Now, I think we're going to call it after I deal with the bosses, or it's really with the boss. Alder Knights will also try to heal if they're at low health, so just be wary of that. Oh, well, that was a wasted humanity. I expected him to back off, but that's fine. And we're back. I'm not going to be cutting out I'm not going to be cutting out deaths, I don't think. So I don't expect them to be happening too often. That being said, I'm also... There we go. Going to, like I said, I don't expect them to be happening too often. I'm going to be, of course, taking measures to, you know, actually survive between encounters. So yeah. These guys are a lot less threatening when they don't have that buff on them, but don't be fooled, you can still be overrun just by sheer numbers. So still play it carefully. Alright. That's that done. Gotta love the Dark Souls ragdoll physics. Alright, so here we are going to... This will be my second / probably final use of Gold Pine Resin. We're gonna summon Lordran. And we're also going to summon Solaire. So you can see Solaire's is different from Lordran's. This is what he meant when he said you'd have to be blind to miss his summon sign. It is a golden color. Very hard to miss. I was about to say, Solaire, are you okay? All right, there he is. So let's go ahead and head inside. Go ahead and buff our weapon preemptively. All right, so this is the Bell Gargoyle. I think a lot of people can agree and say that this boss, okay, Ultra Instinct, nice. This boss is like the first real skill check of Dark Souls 1. Because there's a second one. I was trying to cut off that one's tail just then because you can get an item from that, but it's fine. It'll be far from the last gargoyle that we fight. Yeah, summons make this a lot easier, but also just having sufficient damage and upgrades also makes it a lot easier. So I feel like I built that up to be a lot more challenging than it actually ended up being. I'm sorry. But yes, so that was the gargoyle fight. Definitely probably the first real skill check of the game, at least for me when I first played. I definitely got stonewalled there for a while. But yeah, once you get a little bit of experience though, you can see that's not a difficult boss to deal with. I'm just gonna ring the bell. Now, if I were playing online, you'd be able to hear the bell ringing as other players ring the bell. It's a really cool feature that you can hear other people's success as they ring the bells. All right. We're going to end up using a good amount of these souls, as I mentioned before, to buy some of those items from Andre, just to make our adventuring a bit easier as we go. Also, this dude.
Greetings. I am Oswald of Karim, the Pardon. Thou appearest to lack faith, yet magnanimous are the gods. Cometh thou to confess, or to accuse? For indeed all sin is my domain.
Really like the Judgment set slash the Velka set. I don't remember what it's called in this game. But I do find myself wearing it on playthroughs where I like wear light armor.
And it is only human to commit a sin.
That would not be the case in this playthrough, but I do like their armor. I don't care too much for the helmet, just the chest piece, the legs on the arms. I don't know. I think it makes for a really interesting looking light armor set. So we're gonna go ahead and head to Andre, buy the things we need to buy, and then we're going to probably end this episode. And then what I'm gonna do, I think next episode will probably be the lower Undead Parish as well as the depths, probably. I'm probably gonna do both of those together depending on how quickly I can get it done. That's not a guarantee. Right, and we're going to use, obviously, we're going to use our residual souls to just level up. And like I said, we're not going to be getting our weapon of choice until quite a bit on into the run. Right about at like the halfway point, I guess you could call it. Well, I guess it's really before the halfway point, but it'll be a good amount of time before we get our weapon of choice, but that's fine. We'll make do with what we have for now.
Well, hello again. Need anything forged?
Alright, so we're gonna buy all 3 of these. I'm gonna go ahead and level up my weapon more. I'm not going to take it to that level just because I do want at least one more level up out of these souls that I just earned. Yeah, that's all I'm going to get. So I'm going to take our dexterity to 17. Now, once I get my dexterity up to 17, I'm going to start working on my vitality. and then my endurance, and then I'll go back to dexterity, just so you can get a general idea of how this level up scheme is going to work. I'll get them all to 20, then 30, and then 40 for dexterity and 40 for vitality, but endurance will stay at 30. Yeah, I believe that's how I want to do this. Anyway, actually, I may end up, I know I said I didn't want to level souls or farm souls too much, but since we're that close to another level up, before we get to the item descriptions for today, let me go ahead and deal with these guys out here. Alright, so I went and killed those guys, get me enough souls to level up one more time, so now we're level 18. And let's see if, oh wait, I never showed you the bottomless box. So, what I like to do with the bottomless box is, for certain items that we have duplicates of, I just like moving them into the box, because the only thing I really care to see for the most part is like things that are unique. So if we have duplicates of items, I don't like scrolling through duplicates, so yeah, so that's what we do there. Now, I don't think we got too many unique items today, so let's see. We got a twin humanity, so rare tiny black sprite found on corpses, very unusual twin humanity. That's pretty much the only differentiation. Also, you get two humanity from this. Let's see. So we got these, obviously. So the repair box, specialized mortar used to repair weapons and armor by grinding repair powder. Rest at a bonfire to make a weapon and armor repair possible. Repair powder is fragile and cannot be taken along. Interesting, I never knew that repair powder was referenced in the repair box description, because repair powder just becomes its own item in Dark Souls 2. Interesting. Then you have the weaponsmith box, so tool used to etch titanite into weapons for reinforcement. Rest at a bonfire to make weapon reinforcement possible. And then the armorsmith box, tool used to etch titanite into armor for reinforcement. So this is basically just the armor equivalent of this. We picked up 2 keys today, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think we read the residence key last time either. I could be wrong though. Did we read any of the keys last time? I think we did. I'll just read the residence key just to be sure, but it's fine. Key to a residence in the Undead Burg. Simple, sturdy design of the locks in the burg keep out unwanted visitors, but this is a standard key in these parts and will open several residences. Then the mystery key we picked up today. The purpose of this key is unknown. It appears to be a basic prison cell key. You see, again, this is important to read the item descriptions, because I don't know if it would necessarily click that you have the key to Lautrec's door unless you read this item description. Of course, you could just click it and it's like, oh, I have the key. But this like tells you that you should be looking out for a prison cell. And then the basement key opens the narrow passage leading below at the far face of the Great Bridge and the Undead Burg. The lower Undead Burg is a treacherous place. Do not turn your back on the wily thieves or the wild dogs who serve the Capra demon. See, again, this key tells you so much about what we're going to be doing next episode. So this key references the Capra demon, the thieves, and the dogs that are down in the lower Undead Burg. And it even tells you where the door is. It is at the far face of the Great Bridge. Basically the bonfire that we had when I opened that gate, that's the Great Bridge where the Hellkite Drake is, and there was a door that was closer to Soul Lair that we couldn't open, and this is what that will open. Let's see. Picked up the Claymore today. This large type of greatsword is normally wielded with 2 hands due to its weight. This highly flexible greatsword can be used to attack in swings or thrusts. We picked up the halberd today. A long kilted weapon mixing spear and axe is difficult to handle, requiring both strength and dexterity. The halberd has 2 elementary attacks, spear-like thrusting and large sweeping swings. However, one false swing and the wielder is left wide open. And we got the knight shield today. This medium metal shield is elegantly carved and painted. Although it is thought to have been used by ancient knights of the nobility, its defense capabilities are similar to other shields. I don't believe we picked up any new... Oh, well, yeah, we did get the gargoyle helm. So, Helm of the Gargoyle, an enchanted creature that guarded the Bell of Awakening in the belfry of the Undead Church. This bronze helmet was for mere appearance's sake, as gargoyle skin is naturally hard. Little in the way of defense can be expected from it. Alright, and that is where we will stop this episode today. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Peace.